Welcome back to another video. In this video right here, what I want to do is I want to teach you how to take and cast out a bait caster. If you don't know how, this video right here is going to teach you and show you how I took and casted out a bait caster, and it should help you out. This is for beginners, but if you're an advanced, maybe this right here might help you out too, and you already know how to cast one out. But hey, maybe what I know I help you out. So that's what I want to do, is show how to cast it out so you can get out and use a bait caster and look pretty cool like everybody else. But they're pretty simple and they're pretty easy to use. I know everybody that's took and had bait casters or wanted one, someone said, you're gonna get a bird nest in it the first time you try. That's not lying, because you will and you can get a bird nest in it. And the reason why you would get a bird nest in it is because you got all these little knobs and things on it. If you look at it, you got a knob here, you got a knob here. And that's the reason why, is because it's not set right. And what I mean by not being set right is that the bait that you're using might be too light or it might be too heavy. And when you cast it out, the spool overspins and you get a bird nest in it. And that's what happens. But what I want to do is show you how I set mine up for basically every bait. Sometimes, you know, you have to set it a little bit more different for different types of baits. But this right here is a good principle to start off with, is whenever you're taking and you're using one and you want to get out and cast it and you're learning, where you can get out in the yard and throw it out. But that's what I want to do, is show you how to cast one out so you can be able to figure out how to use one. But let's go on and jump into this right here so I can show you how it works. It's pretty simple, it's pretty easy. Take my method, man, and you ought to be able to get out and start casting a bait caster and having fun. All right, the first thing I want to show you is what I'm using. I'm using a little cork right here. It's just a little cork with a little weight. And the reason why I use a cork is when you're throwing it out in grass, you don't have to worry about it getting hung on anything or anything like that. You can pretty much cast it out and you can reel it back in, and you don't have to worry about it. You can find an old cork and just have fun with it. But that's what I'm using. It's just a little bitty one. It's got a little lead weight right there just to give some type of weight to it. And it's not real heavy, so it's pretty basic. You know, just find you a cork or something to put on the end of it that's not really heavy. But when you're taking and holding the reel, you can feel it bouncing in the end of it right there, like in the tip. And that's about all you need. You don't really need anything heavy when you're first starting out. I'm gonna bring the reel right here in pretty close. I'm gonna try to keep the cork back there in the back where it's swinging. I don't know if you can see it swinging back there, but I'm gonna try to keep it right there so I can show you what I'm doing and what's happening right here with the reel, how I do it. The first thing you want to do is, when you get a bait caster, you just kind of look at it and you see a whole lot happening. Don't worry about that right now, because we're gonna get to that here in just 1 minute. The first thing you want to do is your drag over here. You want to make sure your drag is a little bit tight. And that's all you got. That's all you want to do the first time. This is because when you start casting your bait out, or whatever you're using, like if you're using a cork like me, you want to be able to spin it back in. So that's the first thing you want to do, is tighten your drag down. The second thing you want to do is check out your reel right here. Find out where your knob's at. This little knob right here is for the spool. It'll make it free spool, or you can tighten the spool up. Over here on the other side, most of the time they're all about the same. This is going to be your brake right here, and they got numbers on it with a knob that you click. And I'm going to show you how to set this up right here. All right, the first thing you do is what you want to do is, if you don't know anything about it, you want to take and hold your thumb. I'm just going to show you like this right here with my finger so you can see what's happening, so my hands ain't all in the way. You want to hold your thumb like this right here on the spool, but I'm going to hold it with my index finger right here so you can see what I'm doing. And the little button right here to click, that you take and be able to cast it out and free spool to spool, you want to click it. So you pressed it down. What you want to do is you want to take and let your finger off the spool slowly. So if it's not set right, you'll know what's going on. Back there, if you can see it right about there, it is my cork. And you see nothing happening. It's not going down. It's not doing anything. What you want to do is you want to come over here by holding your finger on the spool, or you can take and just click it back, you know, so it ain't free spool. Come over here on this side, go to your brake right here, and what you want to do is, you got numbers on it. Set it kind of high, so it's brake pretty high. I'm gonna turn it right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to 8. 8 is a good number to start off at. I don't know if you can really see the numbers, but there's a number 8 right there, and there's an arrow on it, so I set it on 8. And that keeps the brake kind of tight on the spool right here. Now coming back here again, where you can see the cork back there. What you want to do is you want to take and click it again, and now it should be pretty tight, where nothing's going to happen. You don't have to worry about the spool free spooling. All right, what you want to do now is you come over here to your spool knob right here. This is your spool tension. You want to take, and let's see if I can't get it in the camera right here. You want to take and turn it. If you turn it just a little bit, I don't know if you can see that, but it's spinning. And that's not what you want when you first starting out learning. You want to take and reel it back up, and reel it back up, and the cork's right there. What you want to do is you want to free spool it again, but this trip, since you know it's loose, you want to keep your finger on it, because if not, it's going to want to go down. And when it goes down, that's not what you want. That's the reason why you get bird nest right there, is because it's too loose. The spool's too loose. What you want to do is just watch it fall. It's falling right now. You want to take, and whenever it's falling, just take that knob and turn it just a little bit to where it's not falling like it is right now. And you take and you press it again and make sure it's not falling like that. And what you want to do is just kind of jump your reel and see if it's going to fall. And right now it's not falling with me. It's not falling at all. So everything's pretty tight. So you just give it just a little bit. I'm talking about just a little bit, not much. Just a little bit, just little increments at the time. And it's not falling still. So you want to give it a little bit more. All right, there we go. It just is falling now. It just is falling. So that's what you're looking, is whenever you're taking setting one up, you want to set it to where your brake's pretty high, on a high number. Over here, your spool tension knob, just when you're taking and you jumping it, it'll start, your bait will start moving down. And that's pretty much it. That's the basics to learning how to take a bait caster and getting it set right where you can cast it out. Because what happens is most people, they'll take and have the spool too loose and they don't set their bait caster up, and when they cast it out and they take and sling it, what happens is that the spool overturns before they can stop it. So that's the reason why you would get a bird nest. But when you're taking and casting it out, I'm going to try to show you right here too. When you're taking and casting it out, you want to take your thumb and put it on your little button right here where it free spools your spool right here. You put your thumb on the spool, press down with the back of your thumb and click it and hold the spool down. And when you cast out, you cast and cast kind of hard, but not real hard, but just cast it out like if you're just normally going to cast any kind of fishing pole out. And you let everything off at one time. And right before it slows down, put your thumb back on it. And when you put your thumb on it, it stops the spool, so the spool don't keep turning. And like I said, that's the reason why you get a bird nest in it, is because it's keep on spinning while the baits actually stop. So that's the reason why you want to stick your thumb back on it. And then you can take and just reel it back in, and next thing you know, you got the idea down, and it's simple. And you just take and you cast it out, and you don't have to worry about a bird nest at all. And another reason why it would want to take and bird nest is because you took and not had the, a bait that was heavy enough, or if it was light enough on there, and you try to cast it out and you slung it so hard, like you just slung it. And when you sling it, that's the reason why it happens, is because it's because the bait caster itself is not set right. But kind of keep everything tight whenever you're taking and learning how to cast it out. And then once you learn how to cast it out, you can start loosening it up a little bit at a time. You know, just little increments. I'm not talking about turning like this or like this. Just enough you can feel it. You can feel it when you start turning the buttons. Besides for over here on the brake, you know, it clicks. But that's pretty much it. I mean, it's not complicated to learn how to start getting out, casting a bait caster. So that's your basics right there. Like I said, I'm gonna recap what I said. Right here is the bait caster. What you want to do is set your brake kind of high. If you want to set it on 10, the highest it can go, set it that high. But I normally start off at 8, or if I need to, I can go higher or lower. It depends on what kind of bait you're using. But like I said, I'm using a little cork, so I'm going to keep it kind of high. Even with big baits, you can keep it kind of high. On this side right here, where your spool tension knob's at, just kind of loosen it, and then take and just tighten it up a little bit at a time. Watch your bait, it'll drop, and get it to where it's not dropping. And then kind of take your rod and bounce it like this right here. Just bounce it with the bait on the end of it. Just bounce it up and down, And once it starts dropping just a little bit, you know, you got it right there, because it's pretty tight. But you still want it free spooled enough that when you cast it out, that it takes and it goes when it goes out. And like I said, that's pretty much it. And to make sure that if you put line on it, make sure you don't overfill this spool right here, because if you overfill the spool, you know, it'll want a bird nest too. And that's pretty much it. I mean, get out there and try it like that right there. Like I said, just with setting everything kind of tight and making sure whatever bait you're using, you know, you can wiggle it and you can see it start coming down just a little bit, where if you hit the button, it's not go ahead and free spooling, and it's not going to sit there and bird nest by itself. So that kind of helps out a lot right there when something's tight and you don't have to worry about it just dropping down and bird nesting while you're not doing anything. But that's pretty much it, man. It's simple. I hope that right there helps somebody out, because I don't really know no other way. That's the way I learned, and I think that'll help somebody out trying to figure out how to cast one out. And once you start getting a little bit more advanced and using bait casters, like I said, you know, you can start loosening everything up to get it to start out there in the water, you know. But it'll still get out there in the water. But when you're learning, that's what you need to do, is keep it tight, keep everything kind of tight, but still where it's still kind of free spool. And when you cast it out, before it hits the ground, make sure you take your thumb and you press on the spool right here so that the line don't keep going. And that's the reason why you get a bird nest, because it overcorrects itself and it fluffs the spool up with the line on it. But that's pretty much it. I hope that right there helps somebody. Pretty simple, basic. Get out, start casting bait casting, man. I appreciate y'all watching.